unpacks and the targeted attack on state legislators. We are waiting a news conference this hour. My colleague Brooke Taylor is tracking this for us. Hello, Brooke.
Hi, Mike. Well, all of this is happening right now as those No King protests are expected across the country. So officials there are telling people do not attend these protests. There is a shelter in place and a massive manhunt underway for this killer. Overnight, Democratic State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, they were killed at their home in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Just a few miles away from there in Chaplin, Democratic Senator John Hoffman and his wife were also shot. They are expected to be okay. Now, Governor Tim Walz, he is calling this a politically motivated assassination. When officers got to Hortman's home around 3 a.m., they came face to face with the shooter who managed to escape after. Listen to this.
They noticed that there was a police vehicle in the driveway with the emergency lights on, and what appeared to be a police officer at the door coming out of the house. When our officers confronted him, the individual immediately fired upon the officers, who exchanged gunfire, and the suspect retreated back into the home.
And President Trump has responded to this. He wrote, quote, "I have been briefed on the terrible shooting that took place in Minnesota, which appears to be a targeted attack against state lawmakers. Our Attorney General Pam Bondi and the FBI are investigating the situation. They will be prosecuting anyone involved to the fullest extent of the law. Such horrific violence will simply not be tolerated in the United States of America. God bless the great people of Minnesota, a truly great place." Again, another press conference expected to kick off. You saw a live view there in just a few moments, so we'll see if there's any.
For joining me here at Courageous Media. Wow, I go camping for a few days and the world erupts into chaos. This is absolutely nuts. So we've got to talk about three major news stories that are going on in the world today. Obviously, the big news for today is the shooting of these, basically it's four people now, but it's two Democrat lawmakers in Minnesota. A state senator, and I believe the woman was the speaker of the state house in Minnesota. But this is absolutely bonkers territory here. Now, of course, as soon as the media heard that it was two Democrat lawmakers that were killed, they immediately jumped to the narrative. Oh, it must be right-wing extremism. Oh, those right-wing violent actors. Oh, it's all right-wing. Well, nope, that's not it. Not it at all. We're going to dive into this story because we now have, it's not breaking, it's been out for a couple hours now, but we got some information on the suspected, the alleged shooter, the man who has been tied to these assassinations, that one Vance Belton, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. But we're going to dive into that. We're also going to dive into comments made by the legislator herself, as well as, hey, comments made by Tim Walz. This is crazy stuff. But welcome in, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Gene was first in. Welcome in, Gene. Resnap is in the house. Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate Joan Brown, everybody. All right, here we go. So let's dive into the meat of this story. Of course, the media ran with the narrative that it was MAGA extremists, right-wing extremists, blah, 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 blah. When in reality, almost all, I will not say 100% because there are a couple nutcases, but 99% of all the political violence in America is perpetrated by left-wing actors. It was the Democrat Party that was the party of slavery. It was the Democrat Party that was the party of Jim Crow. It was the Democrat Party that was the party of the KKK. It has been the Democrat Party all along, and it is still the Democrat Party that is advocating for and seeing the fruits of political violence. All right, let's dive in because Tim Walz gave a press conference himself, and I want to show just a couple of things. We have a brief snippet from this press conference, but it was a great montage that was put together of Tim Walz in his own words. Check this out. Sorry about that.
This was an act of targeted political violence. Peaceful discourse is the foundation of our democracy. We don't settle our differences with violence or at gunpoint. We must all, Minnesota and across the country, stand against all forms of political violence. And each and every one of us are committed to making sure that a tragedy like this never repeats itself in Minnesota or across this country.
Now, that was his press conference from today talking about the shootings in Minnesota of the Democrat lawmakers.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets.
Because I called Donald Trump a wannabe dictator? It's because he is. It's because he is. Maybe it's time for us to be a little meaner. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce. When it's adult like Donald Trump, you bully the shit out of him back.
Oh, is that what you do, Mr. Tim Walz? Is that what you do, failed Minnesota governor? Is that what you do, embarrassed VP candidate? You bully the sugar honey iced tea out of him right back? Oh, he's a dictator. He's a fascist. He's a Nazi. What do we do as Americans to dictators, fascists, and Nazis? Exactly what the Democrats want to happen. It's why there have been two that we know of, minimum, plus a whole bunch that got stopped before they ever got made public, assassination attempts on President Trump. It's why a complete leftist nutcase was able to get onto a roof in Butler, Pennsylvania, and crack off 3 shots with an assault rifle. It's why this is not only begun, it's instigated, but it's allowed to happen, is because of this type of ridiculous rhetoric. You call for nonviolence at the same time you call for violence. The only thing Democrats want more, really the only thing the Democrats want when it comes to nonviolence is nonviolence against Democrats. See, it's only wrong if it's violence against Democrats. If it's violence against President Trump, yeah, he deserved it. He deserved it because of the MAGA rhetoric. It's never their rhetoric that starts the problem, when it is always their rhetoric that starts the problem. And it is pretty much always backed up by leftists. Now, one might ask the question, why would somebody, because, bottom line up front, the alleged shooter in this case is a leftist. We're going to get into his details. But why would one leftist want to shoot another leftist? Let's check out why that might be the case. Because here is the state legislature, the Democrat, in her own words, just 3 days ago on Friday, as she was coming out of a legislative session. And this is Harmon. I believe her last name is Harmon.
I know that people will be hurt by that vote. And we worked very hard to try to get a budget deal that wouldn't include that provision.
DFL Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman emotional following the House's adjournment from a special session Monday. Hortman was the lone DFL lawmaker to cast a vote to cut Minnesota Care access for undocumented immigrants. It's a move she made with a heavy heart.
I did what leaders do. I stepped up and I got the job done for the people of Minnesota.
The bill was deeply unpopular with members of the DFL caucus. Members have repeatedly expressed frustration that the bill was part of a compromise, one that would ensure the necessary GOP votes to pass the rest of the state budget.
We are tremendously disappointed and gut-wrenched at this decision, at this compromise that compromises our communities that are most vulnerable.
So, this is the big problem. This was the initial problem, probably the initial reason why she was targeted amongst other politicians. We now know that there were 70 names on this alleged shooter's manifesto list, but she was one of the first. Why? Because she was the deciding vote in taking away government-paid, taxpayer-funded health care for illegal criminals. Yes, that's right. She, as a Democrat, actually acted like a lawmaker. She actually sat down with Republicans and said, we got to get a budget passed. What's it going to take? And the GOP basically said, there is no way in heck any of us are voting for a budget that's got taxpayer-funded health care for illegals. And so she said, all right. And she was the deciding vote. And now you know why she has ended up on the wrong side of the militant, anti-American, anti-American citizen left.
Hortman knows she let down her own caucus members with the vote.
They're right to be mad at me. I think some of them are pretty angry. I think that their job was to make folks who voted for that bill feel like crap, and I think that they succeeded.
Over in the Senate, a similar situation unfolded. Senate Majority Leader Erin Murphy forced to vote for a bill she too disagreed with to uphold the integrity of their compromise.
This one hurt. This one is a wound because of its reason. My colleagues across the aisle set this as their number one priority.
Asked,
of course, why are we paying for things for people who do not belong in our country? They are not invited here. They are here criminally. They are here illegally. They get nothing. No paid benefits for any of them. This isn't even controversial. This is just ridiculous common sense. And you had a couple Democrat lawmakers basically cast votes saying, okay, fine, no health care for illegals. And this is what they get. This is how wacko left the Democrats have become. This is why the Democrats are eating themselves right in front of our eyes. They are essentially in the embrace of a civil war inside their party between the ultra woke and the not woke enough. That's really what it boils down to in the Democrat Party. You are either a wacko, socialist, woke, Marxist, anti-American thug, or you're not there yet, because the whole party's going that direction. So now, again, the media immediately rolled out and said this was right-wing extremism, right-wing violence, but breaking news, the Minnesota State Police, the Minnesota investigators, everybody on this have since released their suspect, the name of their suspect. The Minnesota lawmaker shootings suspect Vance Belter is sought in connection. And what do we know about Vance Belter? Well, very interesting facts about Vance Belter indeed. First, from Laura Loomer, probably one of the best investigative journalists in the country. The alleged shooter in Minnesota, he had what they found in his vehicle. And now this is a gentleman who initially this was called targeted violence. Why do we know it was targeted violence? Because the man dressed up as a police officer. He had gone to the extent of having an SUV outfitted like a police SUV, complete with lights, the whole 9 yards. He had a uniform. When you asked, when the state police were asked, they said, based on what we saw, because they got glimpses of him, he would have been, if he was standing in this room, everybody would have thought he was a law enforcement officer. So he went to great lengths in order to perpetrate these shootings, basically being undercover and targeting individuals. In his car, he had a whole bunch of No Kings flyers that is the protest. It was nationwide, but in Minnesota specifically, it was sponsored by and endorsed by Governor Walz. Come to find out, Vance Belter was appointed by Governor Walz to a position. He was also appointed by the previous Democrat governor. So this man is a through and through Democrat. He had No Kings flyers in his car. He worked in the West Bank, in southern Lebanon, and the Gaza Strip. So according to Laura Loomer, obviously this is a very dangerous link between communist protesters and the Palestinian movement. More than that, come to find out that this man, not only being a Democrat voter, a Democrat appointee, but this man also, now again, he allegedly killed 2 Minnesota state lawmakers. He was appointed by Governor Tim Walz to be in his cabinet. But he was also a CEO with Minnesota Africans United. This is a coalition and statewide organization that seeks to get African immigrants out of Africa and into Minnesota. Come to find out, he has received tens of thousands of dollars of SBA loans. Looking into this financing, I would not be surprised if we see that NGOs connected to this man also received USAID or other surreptitious clandestine taxpayer money laundered through many government agencies. So what we've got is we've got a leftist, a Democrat leftist that has now killed 2 Democrat politicians and their spouses. It is not a right-wing extremist. It is a leftist, ultra-woke Democrat who targeted the first because she was the deciding vote in taking away health care from his beloved criminal illegal aliens that he's helping smuggle into the country from Africa, specifically the condo, from what I understand. Now, he had 70 more politician names on his list, on his manifesto. Of course, the Minnesota State Police are refusing to release the manifesto. We know that. We know now that absolutely cements the story that he is a ultra-left, woke Democrat, violent extremist. Because if he was anything right, middle, anything left of center even, they would release the manifesto because it would support their narrative. But who he is does not support their narrative. Therefore, you will not see any manifesto. 100%. So, this is obviously major news. We're going to be following this story to see what other details they can uncover about Vance Belton, if he has received other money, just how deep into this. The other question is Tim Walz. Tim Walz appointed this man. Tim Walz was the one funding and endorsing the No Kings protests, which he was a part of. These protests are nothing more than astroturfed, violent riots in the making. We're going to get into that whole thing. So we got a whole story on the protests themselves later on in the show. But this is the big news for today. Just do not be duped by the mainstream propaganda media. They are telling you always a story, never the story. In this case, they immediately ran with the right-wing extremist narrative, only to get egg on their face and embarrassed once again. Now, all of this going on while we've got chaos breaking out in the Middle East. So obviously 2 days ago, Israel had enough. They were not going to let Iran get a nuclear weapon. So we're going to dive into that story. Before we do, if you could please like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share Courageous Media. Thanks everybody for rolling up. We got Bill in the house. We got Andrew Baroch in the house, Joan Brown. Paintballs, Walz, absolutely, Resnap. Let's not forget that it was Tim Walz that ordered the National Guard and the police to literally shoot people on their front porches during COVID. I agree with you, Andrew. Can't stand to see Waltz, Twinkle Toes. I call him Twinkle Toes Waltz, Tampon Tim, anywhere in front of a camera. The man should not be a politician whatsoever. He betrayed his soldiers in uniform. We go stolen valor, that whole story. Absolutely. Democrats hate America, 100% true. Resnap. All right, let's get into some foreign affairs. Obviously, the huge story out of the Middle East is the strikes by Israel. They were never going to let Iran get a nuclear weapon, and so they finally struck. Now, there are many nuances. There's so many layers of complexity to this story, but let's dive in. Here we go.
The Iranians are about to get their asses kicked, and it's been coming since Jimmy Carter. They've slaughtered Americans. They've slaughtered Arabs. They've slaughtered their own people. They think this is Joe Biden's administration, that they would get away with getting nuclear weapons, and then the world would sit there, wouldn't know what to do about it. You talk about ballistic missiles. Israel sees thousands of ballistic missiles. It can't defend against 10,000 ballistic missiles. It's not going to sit there and take it. This Iranian regime is a terrorist Islamist regime. It is an illegitimate regime. It came to power through the point of a gun, and it expects to stay in power with nuclear weapons. Thank God we have Donald Trump as president of the United States. Thank God Israel has Benjamin Netanyahu as the prime minister. And I will say this, if this Islamic terrorist regime touches one hair on the head of an American citizen, they're going to wish they hadn't.
That I believe is absolutely true. I believe now, I don't think Donald Trump wants anything to do with this war. Now, all the reports are that the United States had absolute full knowledge of what was going to happen. They did not participate, but they obviously did not, like many Democrat administrations in the past, step in and force Israel to do something different. So basically, Trump has been trumpeting, terrible pun. Sorry, dad joke. Anyway, I've been camping for a while. So Trump has been out there talking about the fact that they were actively trying to negotiate with the terrorist-loving Iranian regime, that they were basically giving them a one-time reprieve to get a deal done. Trump has said over and over again, under no circumstances will Iran be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. Trump understands the ramifications of that. He understands the ramifications of that for Israel, as well as the ramifications for the United States. This is the regime that teaches school children to recite death to Israel, death to America, we are the great Satan, blah, 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 blah. They are the ultimate terrorist exporting regime. Hezbollah, Hamas, Muslim Brotherhood, they are all their vassal organizations. The entire October 7th attack on Israel was perpetrated by Hamas, funded by Iran, funded by money that they never should have had. Donald Trump in his first term had Iran in a box. He had essentially sanctioned them out of existence, out of the world banking system. He had sequestered all of their assets, and the Biden regime walks in, the occupant of the Oval Office, and essentially does two major things. It releases all of Iran's frozen assets and allows Iran to sell oil on the open market, netting them billions and billions of dollars, which they used to fund Hamas in Gaza for October 7th, which they used to fund Hezbollah in their incursions into northern Israel, which they used to fund the Houthis in all of their piracy and in their constriction of the shipping going into the Red Sea, the Suez Canal. They used all that money that Joe Biden gave them, allowed them to get. Trump is now saying this is not going to happen. We are not going to let Iran get a nuclear weapon. Now, I will say that the drumbeat that Iran is days away from a nuclear weapon has been going on for 30 years. Netanyahu, the prime, I don't know if it's Netanyahu, but the prime minister of Israel first said back in 1995 that Iran was months to a year away from getting nuclear weapons. Well, that has still not happened. Or if they have them, they have shown a tremendous amount of restraint, which I don't believe. I believe if Iran had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it, especially if, as many reports said, they were close to 9 potential atomic weapons. If they had 9 potential atomic weapons, they would have absolutely wiped Israel off the face of the map. Israel is not that big. It is the size of New Jersey. Imagine dropping 9 nukes on New Jersey. You would essentially eliminate 80% of all life in New Jersey. And that's what they would have done to Israel. Or they would have taken a couple of those and they would have attempted to somehow get them into the United States. I mean, think how easy it is. We're not talking about suitcase nuke here. We're talking about you could stick a nuclear weapon on a ship and sail that ship into Baltimore Harbor and blow the thing up. Imagine the ramifications that would have for Baltimore, for DC, the whole seat of American government. I mean, it's not that difficult to do. Now, could they do it without getting detected? Obviously we have layers and layers of security for that. But Israel said, not on our watch. And they executed a precision strike, 200 plus fighter aircraft, plus drones that had already been smuggled into Iran, plus vast Mossad assets, all coordinated to take out initially Iran's air defenses, then decapitate Iran's military structure, then do as much damage to their nuclear capability as possible. Their nuclear refining capabilities, the weapons labs, all of that. And so I want to dive in because we got a great video on that, and then we'll get a little more detail on the actual airstrikes themselves. Here we go. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you supportive of Israel doing this? What do you think?
I think Israel has done a phenomenal job. Israel is showing the world unprecedented precision, exceptional spy operation, incredible preparation. Israel did not plan this overnight. Israel has been planning this for over 10 years. The infiltration on the ground with their spy operation within Iran is amazing. You cannot kill the people that they killed as fast as they killed them without precise intelligence on the ground. And that intelligence is coming from the people that they have been working with, that they have been training. Look, Israel has such incredible Mossad agents on the ground. They look Iranians, they are fluent in the language, they are blended, they know the culture, they are a part of the culture, and it takes years to develop that. And Israel has perfected that. This is one thing that sets them apart with their intelligence operations than any other nation in the world, and that's the secret to their success. I think
Absolutely. So let's check out, because Israel, like she said, the one thing I want to point out, that unlike so many attacks on Israel, which are just brute force, let's kill as many civilians as we possibly can, Israel's strikes were 100% precision. I haven't heard, I certainly haven't seen Iran out there trumpeting massive civilian casualties. They haven't, because they can't. All of Israel's strikes were basically on military installations, or when they did take out one of the military leaders, because there were several taken out in their apartments, in their homes. They had to know they were there. We've got photo evidence of bombs literally going through walls in apartment buildings into the bedroom to take out some of these people. But check out the precision strikes that Israel has managed to take out the military leader complex of Iran. General Rashid, I'm not even going to try to pronounce all of these names. He was taken out at the headquarters. Hossein Bagheri, Armed Forces Chief of Staff. The Salami, unfortunate name for him. The IRGC commander, especially considering, like, is salami not pork? Am I not correct? Ali, he's Aerospace Forces. Deputy Operations Chief, Rabbani. Marabi, Intelligence Deputy. The IRGC Air Defense. So they strategically decapitated Iran's military right after taking out all of their air defense assets, and then they went after their nuclear capabilities. Now, I want to give a little more detail. There's a Chicago Ray's got a great video out there. We're going to check that out on the extent of some of these airstrikes and what they did. This is really great information.
This is a full sweep. This is a determined Israeli decapitation strike against the top echelons of Iran's strategic and military command. Here's where we are operationally right now. The Israeli Air Force and Mossad agents who have penetrated deep behind enemy lines on Iranian territory have managed to kill at least 20 senior Iranian Revolutionary Guard commanders, as well as the commander of the Iranian Missile and Air Force Command, and the senior-most nuclear program advisor to the Iranian Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. So right now, I can imagine that there is confusion, there is chaos within the command structure of Iran's political command. And look, Bibi Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, in a statement earlier today said that this is the time for the Iranian people to declare their freedom. So that is a message here that this is a strategic blow against Iran. The intent here is perhaps regime change, that this is going to go well beyond striking the nuclear underground enrichment sites. Now, we do have reports that the Natanz nuclear enrichment site has been significantly damaged by the Israeli strikes. That's important. Why? Because Iran has two of them, Natanz and Fordow. The big one is Fordow. That is deep beneath the mountains, underneath the holy Iranian site of the city of Qom, and that we can expect the Israelis to strike that site as well. We are seeing some updates as we speak right now.
So Israel executed these precision military strikes. They took out the command and control. They took out the air defenses. Then they started going after military facilities. Now, the damage that they did to the integrated air defense of Iran was so significant that they're essentially saying it's clear skies now. And this is not a one-time raid. Check out Netanyahu. This is going to go on until they have absolutely achieved their objective.
For as it takes. Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They've backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons. In recent years, Iran...
So like he said, this will go on for days if necessary. And the damage that they did to the integrated air defenses means that they can essentially do it with almost zero risk. They can literally fly over Iran bombing whatever they want to bomb. And there is very little the Iranians can do because based on the drone damage that they did to their air defenses and also based on the sophisticated anti-air defense assets that Israel has, this could very much end up being like an Iraq war situation. If anybody remembers the first Iraq war, way back in the 90s, when America first launched that attack, you saw all of the air defenses of Iraq lit up. They actually had graphs of anti-air radar emissions. And those emissions lasted for about an hour until all the wild weasels, which are America's anti-air defense attack planes, they were based, back then they were on F-4 airframes. They've since been transferred to F-16s and some F-111s. But when those wild weasels started launching, basically harm anti-radiation missiles that are specifically designed to take out the air defenses, you saw the radar activity literally fall off a cliff because the Iraqis very quickly realized if I turn on my radar, I'm going to die. It's not a matter of I turn it on, I acquire a target, I launch a missile, and I turn it off. Because the American anti-air defense weaponry is sophisticated to the point that once an air defense radar comes up and a missile is launched, even if that radar goes down, the missile remembers the GPS coordinates and hits it anyway. The only way to do it is turn on your radar, launch a missile, and somehow move that thing enough to get it out of harm's way. So this is it's going to be akin to that, where the Israelis can effectively render the airspace over Iran friendly territory. And that is not going to be good news for Iran. Now, going back to the previous video, one of the things he mentioned was if Israel plays their cards right in this, if they maintain targeted strikes, if they maintain constant anti-military strikes and decimate the military capability of Iran, you could potentially open the door for what everybody, I think, in the world wants, and that is regime change in Iran. And I say that because I think that would be a phenomenal thing. Do I think it will actually happen? We'll see. No one in Iran is really happy with the regime, but check this out. This is an amazing video of people in Tehran. I don't know how they got this out, but check this out as the airstrikes were going on. They're dancing and celebrating as the airstrikes go. You see smoke plumes. The Iranians, the Persians don't want this. They don't want the Ayatollah Khomeini and the supreme leader and all of his surrogates running the country because they run it as a bunch of butchers. So let's hope two things happen out of this. One, that Israel absolutely decapitates Iran's nuclear capability for decades to come, and that potentially this thing leads to enough weakness in the Iranian regime that the Iranians might actually rise up and overthrow this thing. If ever we needed a real CIA, now would be the time. No law. We don't need to be fomenting insurrections in Ukraine. No, this is where we need one. All right. So last story, as everybody knows, today is a major day. Today is the birthday of the U.S. Army. So I will say happy birthday, U.S. Army, but I must follow that up as an Air Force Academy grad with Go Air Force, beat Army. Yes. We are still rivals. Happy birthday. We're still rivals, and we're better than you. All right, next. This weekend is also Trump's birthday, but it is also June 14th. It is what? It is the No Kings Protest Day. That's right. All of these nationwide protests that have been advertised for days now, the No Kings protest, we don't have any kings, blah, 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 blah. Again, just another astroturfed protest paid for by billionaires, paid for by white liberals, pretending that Donald Trump is something other than simply the president of the United States. As Donald Trump has said on video many times, hey, if I was a king, this would be a lot easier. I've got to go through so many layers of approval just to get anything done. He's absolutely right. But we have some videos from this June 14th nonsense. First, I want to play you this. This is from Windsor, Colorado. So as we dive into this, Joan Brown, you're absolutely correct. Democrats are the party of evil. They're also hypocrites. Israel doesn't fool around. Resnap 100%. All right. So let's dive into this June 14th No Kings protests. They're going on all over the country. I haven't seen a whole lot of major news about them because they haven't been what the Democrats really wanted. First of all, check this out from Windsor, Arizona. Windsor, Colorado. Not Arizona. So deep blue, Colorado. This is now Windsor. I'll give it, just so everybody knows, it is a smaller town. It's a more rural town in deep blue, Colorado. But check out this massive, massive, excited turnout for No Kings Protest Day.
Around here is just shady. Yeah, that's what
That's a disgusting shirt, huh?
Oh, I love it, man.
Oh, I almost threw up in my mouth.
Hey, that's okay. There's the street.
Not true. Well, he saved our country. No.
So this massive protest, I've counted, I think I'm up to 30 people. 30 people out in Windsor, Arizona for the No Kings protest. And they're matched by pro-Trump protesters. Make America great again. Let's hear what they have to say.
No, I think he's corrupt. No, but what do you like? Did you think Biden wasn't? It's called elder abuse. Yeah. That man was not in power. Forget him. I'm just curious. What you like about him? He's a true patriot. He loves our country. He's a terrorist. He's a rapist. Elder abuse. Absolutely.
And that's the end of the protest arm. Wow, all of 30 people in Windsor, Colorado, deep blue Colorado, managed to come out for the No Kings protest. All right, let's check this one out because there was a great video about the No Kings protest in Atlanta. Remember, this is supposed to be grassroots. This is the people rising up. This is all about coming from the lower echelons of society. They are rising up to let everybody know that they don't want a king. Well, check out this from Atlanta. And let me know if you notice anything in this protest as we... Remember, it's Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, they certainly have a better turnout here, but one of the things that I noticed about this, grassroots, organic No Kings protest on the courthouse steps here in Atlanta is, I think in a couple first passes, I think I counted 3 Black Americans in that whole group. 3 in a city that is predominantly Black. No, this is what you call AstroTurf, bought and paid for agitators. That's what this is. This is white liberals pretending to be some sort of grassroots organic protest when it is not. It is organized, it is scheduled, it is paid for. It's AstroTurf. It's 100% AstroTurf. So enough of the shenanigans here. Now, I have one more video on the No King's Day protests. And this is in, actually, this is outside of Delaney Hall ICE facility. This is the one in New Jersey. So let's get an idea of what happens when these protests start to cross the line. Now, this is not New Jersey law enforcement doing that. This is ICE. This is federal authorities, federal agents. Watch the action that they take, because again, just like Israel, just like Trump, we are no longer in play mode. We are in FAFO mode. F around and find out. So here we are at the Delaney facility. As you see people pressed up against the fence, starting to get a little rambunctious. Check this out.
Back up. Let's go to the other side of the line.
That's right. ICE and federal authorities aren't playing. They bull rushed into that crowd, and now the arrests start.
Get up and go! Get up and go! Get up and go! Get the fuck off! Stay right there! Get on the sidewalk! Get right there!
So listen to this deranged leftist lunatic, possibly Arab. I don't know, based on her headscarf, but it might just be a disguise to try to mask who she is. Listen to her vile, disgusting words. I hope you terminate your own life. I don't know what YouTube's going to flag, but basically, I hope you terminate your own life over and over and over again with a bullhorn. This is who these people are. This is the deranged, nutcase, ultra-violent, ultra-woke left that we have in this country.
Make sure you go. If they fucking over there, fuck you.
And the arrest. Notice how this has nothing to do with ICE. This is all about the linking up of the fascists, the Nazis, the communists, the Islamo-fascists, all of the anti-American, anti-Christian, anti-Jewish factions come together to essentially oppose anything that is pro-American, anything MAGA, anything America First, anything Christian. Notice the headscarf. you'll notice they were shoving and saying, get back on the sidewalk. And buffoon, brown-shirted buffoon, shoves back on the ICE officer. Now he's going to go to prison. Congratulations, nitwit. Fafo. F around, find out.
Get back! Get back! Get back! Get back! Get back! Get back! Get back!
On the sidewalk. Calm the fuck down. Get a hot fucking temper there, buddy.
Back up. Y'all don't gotta do that shit. Nazis go! Nazis go! Nazis go!
Now, I think they should have arrested every single one of those people, personally. But as you can see, it is a totally different ballgame. If they had at least done this in Los Angeles a week ago, we wouldn't be sitting on the same problem that we're sitting on now, that powder keg in that ridiculous city. But of course, no. Mayor Bass and Newsom essentially handcuffed the police, told them to stand down and let this thing absolutely grow out of control. But from what I have seen, and if anybody has any information to the alternate, let me know. But from what I've seen, the whole June 14th No Kings protest has been an ultra fizzle. It's been a giant nothing burger because the Trump administration, in league with the states that would allow them, basically said no. We're not letting this happen. It's not going down. We're not having another summer of love. Not going to happen. So, got major stories. We got leftist Democrats shoots other leftist Democrats because they're not left enough. And we've got Israel absolutely taking it to Iran. And finally, the fizzle of the No Kings June 14th protest. Thanks, everybody, for rolling up. Really appreciate everybody being here. Please remember, like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share Courageous Media with everybody as you know as we try to get this thing remonetized. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. Thank you so much. Remember, God is good and he is sovereign. It'll all be good in the end. Until I catch you next time.